Joel, I think I found something.
Whoa!
What?
Oh, nothing. It's just your forehead seems bigger than last season.
I think I found a way through over there.
I'm gonna be a dad. Yeah.
Ellie's super smart. What? Characterization of Ellie being dumb is weird.
It's never any fun not being able to go to sleep, just like it wasn't any fun watching Last of Us Season 2. So, in the show, Ellie still looks exactly the same, but is supposed to be 5 years older. Also, Ellie still acts exactly the same. So it really conflicts with what the character's supposed to be portrayed as here. Like most people, I liked the first season. I thought they did a great job.
Yes. Maybe we can prop it open with something and you can slide.
Oh
Whoa!
my god, what?
Is it getting bigger?
Stop it.
No, seriously, what's with that?
It's fine, Joel.
Does it hurt?
Joel, please. You're making me self-conscious.
I'm sorry, it's just a little bit startling.
It's a normal head, Joel. Can we just get back to the door things?
Planetary.
Leave it.
It's gonna have its own area code soon.
That's wild. Every time that song got played, I thought about Joel and I would cry. But because we spent the entire last episode or two just not even thinking about him too much, in my humble opinion, and I know nothing, okay, and I'm not a writer, we could have started the episode there. Shouldn't need to be triangulating. Ellie didn't need to be dumb.
Season 2, I was skeptical on them not recasting Ellie and keeping Bella Ramsey as Ellie because it's supposed to take place 5 years into the future, but obviously Bella Ramsey in real life was not going to age that much in, the 2 years it took between seasons, because Ellie still looks and acts like a 14-year-old from season 1, even though she's supposed to be 19.
So maybe if I just move some of this debris, we can get the door open a crack.
Hey! Here! Oh my goodness, Joel! What do I do?
Jesus!
Joel, focus!
Again?
Joel!
Okay, I guess just use your telekinesis?
I don't have telekinesis, Joel!
I don't believe you! Look at the size of that thing! Just try, Ellie, please! I think it's working, Ellie. Keep trying! Come on, cranium! Yeah!
No one expected this. Not at Comic-Con. Not at a celebration of one of the most beloved video game adaptations in recent memory. And definitely not to her face. But when Bella Ramsey walked onto the stage at the Last of Us panel, the energy in the room shifted. Not with overwhelming applause, but with something that fans, attendees, and even panel organizers didn't see coming. A wave of audible boos. It wasn't just awkward, it was tense, visibly uncomfortable, and within minutes, clips started spreading across social media like wildfire.
Stop being mean to Bella Ramsey in The Last of Us 2. That's what the journalists are saying. But what the internet is saying, no, we want more memes about her. And unfortunately, the internet gets what it wants.
Edited, memed, dissected from every angle. Bella Ramsey, the star of one of HBO's biggest shows, had just become the center of an unexpected controversy. But here's the real twist. This wasn't just a moment of poor timing or a few rowdy fans. It was the breaking point in a much longer story, one that's been building in silence, behind every Reddit thread, every casting complaint, every subtle jab on Twitter. And when Bella tried to address it, or at least brush it off, that response only made it worse.
There was a lot of deviations and more than anything, terrible casting on the part of Neil Druckmann and the director and producer of this show, Craig Mazin. I think they did a terrible job with a lot of the actors they did choose for The Last of Us, including Pedro Pascal, who's just overexposed now.
In this video, we're breaking down everything. What happened at Comic-Con, the history behind the tension, and why some fans believe this was the moment everything finally snapped. But first, let's go back to the moment that sparked it all. It started like any other big-name panel at Comic-Con. Lines wrapped around the convention center, cosplayers posing for cameras, fans buzzing about teasers and exclusive footage. The Last of Us cast was scheduled to appear at 2:00 p.m. sharp in Hall C, a massive auditorium packed with fans, curious onlookers, and media. The excitement was real. The franchise had been riding high ever since its Season 1 success. But the moment the host announced, "Please welcome Bella Ramsey," things turned sour. A mix of cheers and then boos. Not just a few scattered ones either. Loud enough to be heard clearly on multiple fan-recorded videos. Loud enough that other cast members standing beside Bella noticeably flinched. At first, Bella smiled it off. That classic, forced celebrity smile. She gave a small wave, tried to look unbothered, but the tension in the room was undeniable. The moderator, clearly trying to recover the the vibe, jumped ahead with a scripted question about Season 2's direction. But the moment lingered in the air. Some fans laughed nervously, others looked around, confused. Was it a joke, a protest, or something deeper? People started pulling out their phones immediately, posting it on X, formerly Twitter, within minutes. Hashtags like #BellaBoos and #ComicConAwkward started trending. A clip from the event racked up over 4 million views in just a few hours. And of course, the internet did what it does best. Zoomed in, slowed down, replayed reactions frame by frame. One close-up caught Pedro Pascal briefly whispering something to Bella. Another showed her jaw visibly clench when the boos hit. A freeze frame of her blink, yes, literally blinking, was used for dozens of "when you realize the fans actually hate you" memes. It was savage. But the moment that truly set things off wasn't the booing itself. It was what happened when Bella was asked about it directly. About 15 minutes into the panel, things seemed to be stabilizing. The cast laughed, answered softball questions, showed a sneak peek teaser. Then, someone in the audience asked the question. It wasn't aggressive. It was respectful, but blunt. "Bella, how do you feel about the mixed fan reactions to your portrayal of Ellie?" A hush fell over the room. You could feel the shift. This wasn't scripted. It wasn't screened. The moderator froze. The other cast members glanced at each other. Bella leaned forward, took the mic, and paused. And then she gave the answer. "Look, people are always going to have opinions. You can't please everyone. And honestly, if they don't like it, they don't have to watch." Boom. It landed like a brick. There wasn't laughter. There wasn't applause. Just more awkward silence. A few people clapped. Others muttered. One fan was even caught on camera whispering, "Did she really just say that?" To some, it sounded confident, unbothered, maybe even empowering. But to many others, it came off as dismissive, arrogant, like she was shrugging off years of criticism and feedback as if fans didn't matter. And once again, the internet exploded. Clips of that moment flooded TikTok, X, and Instagram. Fans started labeling it her Hailey Bieber moment, referencing celebrities who appear out of touch with the audiences that built them. Edits popped up comparing Bella's words to interviews from other controversial stars who brushed off backlash and later faced career hits. Comment threads were savage. Imagine getting booed and still acting like you're above the fans. This is exactly why people didn't want her as Ellie. She just lost half the fandom in one sentence. And then there were the defenders, the fans who said she was just setting a boundary, that she's been roasted for months and finally snapped, that if male actors responded like that, no one would blink. But it was too late. The tone was set, the clips were out, the opinions were flying. And in that moment, the Comic-Con boos became something bigger. Not just a blip, but a symbol of growing tension that couldn't be ignored anymore. And it wasn't the first time Bella had rubbed fans the wrong way. To understand why Comic-Con turned sour, you have to rewind to the very beginning, to the day HBO announced Bella Ramsey would play Ellie. At first, the reaction was cautious. Bella had just come off a breakout performance in Game of Thrones, where her fierce portrayal of Lyanna Mormont won hearts. Critics praised her acting chops. She was bold, expressive, and completely unafraid to command a scene. But to many Last of Us fans, she didn't look like Ellie. Not the Ellie they spent hundreds of hours playing as. Not the Ellie whose mannerisms, face, and voice they had memorized since the PS3 era. That dissonance between performance and physical expectation kicked off a wave of division that never really went away in me. On one side, there were those who embraced the casting. They praised her performance, arguing that The Last of Us wasn't about matching pixels. It was about emotional range, intensity, depth, and Bella, they said, delivered that in spades. But the other side, they weren't convinced, and they were louder. Entire Reddit threads broke down side-by-side comparisons between Bella and the game version of Ellie. TikToks questioned everything from her accent to her facial structure to her body language. Some fans even accused HBO of ignoring the source material entirely. Over time, this criticism turned into something deeper, personal. Instead of judging just the acting, people began judging Bella herself, how she carried herself in interviews, her tone on social media, her stance on gender identity, fashion, even social issues. It was no longer just about Ellie. It became about Bella representing a change that some fans weren't ready for. And here's the kicker. HBO never really addressed the tension. They doubled down on their casting. Showrunners defended the decision. Co-stars sang her praises. And Bella? She took the high road publicly, mostly brushing off negativity with jokes or silence. But the divide within the fandom stayed. Quiet, simmering, growing. YouTube comments and reaction videos mirrored the split. "She's incredible, give her a chance," versus "she's ruining the show." And after a while, every new appearance Bella made seemed to reignite the debate. Every trailer, every interview, every award show. The fandom wasn't just divided, it was on edge. So when the boos echoed through that Comic-Con auditorium, it wasn't just about one moment. It was about years of unspoken tension finally boiling over. Out loud, in public, with cameras rolling. And for many fans watching it unfold online, it brought back a lot more than just casting debates. It reminded them of all the little things Bella had said and done that rubbed people the wrong way. Let's be clear, Bella Ramsey is no stranger to controversy, but not in the scandalous tabloid sensation way you'd expect. It's more subtle, more nuanced, the kind of controversy that builds over time, through small moments, the kind that fans never quite forget. Let's start with that infamous interview from 2023. Bella was asked about the fan backlash following the Season 1 finale. Her answer? I don't read comments. I don't care what gamers think. I care about telling a good story. That one quote was clipped, stitched into hundreds of videos, and turned into something almost legendary in Last of Us fandom circles. To her defenders, it was a bold statement, a young actress asserting boundaries in a world that often punishes authenticity. But to critics, it was proof she didn't respect the fans, that she didn't get what made Ellie so special to the community in the first place. Then came the social media posts, not overtly offensive, but enough to stir frustration. Bella's Instagram stories were often sarcastic, cryptic, or seemingly dismissive of online criticism. At one point, she reposted a meme roasting fans, just days after a fan-led campaign called for her recasting. Even Pedro Pascal, in his calm, polished way, once stepped in during a press junket and redirected a question after Bella joked about people rage-quitting Twitter. It came off as snarky. Some fans laughed, others saw it as more fuel to a growing fire. And it didn't stop there. In one podcast interview, Bella admitted she never played the Last of Us game beyond the first hour, that she didn't want to mimic a performance. She wanted to build Ellie from scratch. For a show with one of the most passionately loyal fan bases in gaming history, that was a red flag. A huge one. Forums erupted again. So she didn't even try to understand the source material? You could almost hear the collective facepalm. Now, none of these moments were career-ending. None were catastrophic, but each one chipped away at the goodwill of fans who were already unsure. Fans who felt alienated by a version of Ellie they didn't recognize, and now felt roasted by the person portraying her. So when Bella brushed off booze at Comic-Con with a line about people not having to watch, it wasn't just a one-off. It was the latest entry in a growing list of what critics call Bella being Bella, a list that many fans have been quietly keeping for years. It didn't take long. Within an hour of the Comic-Con clip going live, it was everywhere. Twitter, TikTok, Reddit, YouTube, Instagram. Even threads on Discord servers were flooded with links, reaction screenshots, slowed down videos, and, of course, memes. One particularly viral edit started with Bella's now infamous quote, "If they don't like it, they don't have to watch," followed by a smash cut of fans rage-closing laptops, flipping controllers, and fake sobbing over PlayStation discs. It was harsh, savage even, but the internet lapped it up. Then came the memes. A screen grab of Pedro Pascal looking slightly off to the side was captioned, "Me pretending I didn't hear the booze." Another popular TikTok showed the Comic-Con stage with dubbed-over audio from WWE crowds booing John Cena, and someone even looped Bella's entire facial reaction to the booze, slowed to 0.25x speed, with dramatic violin music in the background. Millions of views, tens of thousands of comments. But this wasn't just a joke fest. It split the internet down the middle. Some fans went full scorched earth mode. She's arrogant, ungrateful, and totally out of touch. This is what happens when actors think they're bigger than the character. She's roasting the very people who made her famous. Others, though, were quick to jump to her defense. Many pointed out that Bella has faced a non-stop wave of personal attacks since being cast, that no one deserves to be booed in public, that the hate has veered way past criticism and into something wrong. Some even brought up double standards. If Pedro had said the exact same line, "Don't watch if you don't like it," people would be calling him a king. She's a young woman setting boundaries, and people are acting like she slapped someone. The debate exploded. Comment sections turned into war zones. Fan pages either took a side or shut down comments entirely. Even major creators weighed in. YouTubers with millions of followers posted breakdowns of the moment. Reaction channels picked apart every frame. Some defended Bella as a victim of over-the-top fandom hate. Others said this was a sign of deeper issues, a celebrity culture that dismisses fans as disposable. And in the middle of all this, Bella stayed quiet. No apology, no clarification, not even a cryptic Instagram story. Silence, which only made people speculate more. Was she being told to stay silent? Was HBO stepping in behind the scenes? Because if this was just a one-time PR blip, it wouldn't be causing this much noise. But this didn't feel like a blip. It felt like a turning point. And that left people asking a question that hadn't really been considered until now. Is HBO nervous? Here's the thing most casual fans don't realize. Comic-Con appearances aren't just fan service. They're strategic PR operations. Every panel, every cast lineup, every question, often rehearsed, reviewed, or outright screened by reps in the back room. And when something goes sideways in front of a live crowd, it sends signals, not just to fans, but to executives, investors, advertisers. So when Bella Ramsey, one of HBO's marquee young stars, gets booed on stage and triggers a social media firestorm, you better believe alarms went off behind the scenes. According to anonymous sources floating around industry gossip pages, damage control meetings were held that same night. Not over whether to fire Bella, that's not on the table yet, but over how to manage the messaging moving forward. Because this isn't just about Bella anymore, it's about the Last of Us brand. Season 2 is already in production, and it's not just any season. It's the adaptation of The Last of Us Part 2, one of the most controversial game releases in history. The stakes are higher, the fan expectations sharper, and the emotional swings deeper. And now, the face of that season is being labeled ungrateful on social media. That's a PR problem. Not just for her, for everyone. Even Pedro Pascal, who's long been seen as the steady anchor of the cast, started trending for reasons that had nothing to do with him. Fans speculated. Was he uncomfortable during the panel? Was he distancing himself? Then there was the matter of HBO's official accounts. The Last of Us Instagram page posted behind-the-scenes photos from Comic-Con, but noticeably skipped any solo shots of Bella. Commenters picked up on it immediately. No Bella? Damage control? You guys scared or something? Y'all edited her out like she's Ezra Miller. Ouch. And still, no official comment. Not from HBO, not from Bella, not even from the showrunners, but the speculation keeps snowballing. Could HBO eventually sideline Bella in the press cycle? Will her role be softened in Season 2 to avoid more controversy? Or will they double down, risking backlash but staying loyal? No one knows yet, but insiders say the studio is closely watching how this plays out. If online sentiment continues to slide, and public appearances stay this volatile, the network may have to rethink its entire promo strategy. Because when your lead star is getting booed at fan events, and your comment sections are more explosive than your plot lines, that's no longer just a controversy. That's a brand risk. And in the age of streaming wars, brand is everything. At this point, it's not just about Comic-Con, it's not even about one quote or one performance. It's about where the fandom stands and where it's heading. What happened to Bella Ramsey on that stage wasn't an isolated moment. It was the release valve on years of built-up pressure. For some, it was validation, proof that their frustrations were shared by thousands. For others, it was horrifying, a reminder of how far fandom can fall into personal attacks and cruelty. But no matter what side you're on, you can't deny this. Something broke that day, and it might not be fixable. The Last of Us began as one of the most beloved video games of the past decade. Its adaptation was hailed as prestige TV at its finest, emotionally raw, masterfully shot, universally praised. But in chasing that emotional complexity, HBO and its cast stepped into something more dangerous. A fandom that's deeply personal, fiercely protective, and unwilling to compromise. Bella Ramsey is now at the center of that storm. Some fans argue she was never the right choice. Others say she's being unfairly vilified. But here's the hard truth. Perception matters. And right now, the perception is fractured. We've seen it happen before. Celebrities who go from rising stars to cautionary tales, not because they did something wrong, but because the internet turned on them, slowly, relentlessly. But what makes this situation different is how closely it's tied to a character millions of people already loved. Ellie isn't just a role, she's an icon. And once an audience believes that an actor doesn't represent their icon faithfully, that's a fracture that no PR strategy can fully mend. So what happens now? Is this the end of Bella Ramsey's run as Ellie? Or is this the beginning of her redemption arc? One thing's for sure, Comic-Con 2025 will go down as the moment where The Last of Us fandom hit its breaking point. A shift in the tone of public discourse. A redefinition of the relationship between fan and actor. And maybe, just maybe, the first real test of how HBO plans to navigate the minefield it's stepping into with Season 2. But the story doesn't end here. If there's one thing we've learned from this saga, it's that fandom isn't just about entertainment anymore. It's about identity. People don't just watch shows, they live inside them. They defend them. They attach meaning to the characters, to the performances, to the tiniest details. So when something feels off, when a casting choice, a line of dialogue, or an actor's attitude doesn't align with that deep emotional connection, it doesn't just frustrate fans, it hurts them. That's the real reason Comic-Con went viral. Not because of booze, but because of betrayal. At least that's how many fans saw it. And now HBO is walking a tightrope. Here's what could happen next. Bella issues a statement, perhaps clarifying, perhaps apologizing, to reset the narrative. HBO launches a carefully crafted Season 2 marketing campaign, focusing on ensemble cast moments to take the pressure off Bella. The showrunners hint at shifting the story's focus more onto Abby, Dina, or Joel's legacy to reduce tension around Ellie's arc. Or the backlash grows. Bella becomes a lightning rod for Season 2 criticism, and HBO quietly begins planning a longer-term phase-out. There's even a more extreme scenario floating around fan circles. Recasting. It's highly unlikely, but not impossible. HBO has made bold moves before, especially when a series is on the edge of losing its cultural momentum. But the most likely outcome? Season 2 will move forward. Bella will remain as Ellie, and the conversation will continue to spiral, fueled by every new trailer, every panel appearance, every tweet. And with the show poised to adapt the most divisive chapter of the franchise, that conversation won't be fading away anytime soon. Whether Bella silences the critics or fuels the fire, one thing is guaranteed: all eyes will be on her. Because when a fandom turns against its lead, when boos echo through the biggest stage in pop culture, it's not just a moment, it's a message. And now, everyone's waiting to see how she, on in the studio, and will answer it. The boos may have lasted 5 seconds, but the fallout could last for years.